What up, Izzy Rockwell? Appreciate the support. It's gonna be a good one. What up? What up?
Hello, what's happening?
Salute. How you feeling?
Yo, the thing is circling. It's sounding a little choppy.
Okay, can you log off and log back on?
Excuse me?
Can you log off and then log right back on? Got to get this communication right. So we're going to log back off and log back on. Hopefully that eliminate the communication problem. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight on this Sunday night. Episode 115 with the legendary Mikey D.
Yeah.
Is that better? Is that better?
Whole lot better, baby. We good.
All right. Your Wi-Fi on?
Wi-Fi's, yeah, full blast.
Okay. Looking better now. Hey, I appreciate you joining me this evening.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Is it better now?
It's doing it again. I don't know. Maybe now you good. Yeah, yeah.
It's good?
Yeah, you good now. Yeah, yeah.
It's a certain angle. It's good now?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect now, brother.
Okay. Hey, like I said, I appreciate you joining me this evening.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited, bro.
That's what's up. We're going to take a little history lesson, get deep into your history, give you your flowers while you're still here, because you definitely deserve them. And then we're going to work our way up to what you currently have going on. If you could tell the viewers where you were born and raised.
I was born in a mental asylum called Queens General Hospital. Nah, I was born in Queens General Hospital. That's Jamaica, Queens, New York. I was raised in Laurelton, Queens, which is a part of Jamaica, Queens, Merrick Boulevard, 220th Street, all my life, and that's the story right there.
Any obstacles you had to endure growing up as a teenager in Queens?
You're starting to break up a little bit again, bro.
Uh-oh. Can you see me now?
It's still circling.
I'm not sure. My Wi-Fi is on. I'm not sure what the you're looking good.
Yeah,
Still
there you
circling?
go.
It's cool?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Any obstacles you had to endure growing up as a teenager in Queens?
Oh, absolutely, man. The normal peer pressure, the 40 ounces of old English hurdle. You know what I mean? I came up in the crack era. It was, I kind of avoided that lane and all of the other stuff. Hip hop basically saved my life. Females, we didn't really have a gang situation or nothing like that because, where I grew up, we just had one crew called Boom Bash, and they protected their own, which was Laurelton. So other than that, everything was pretty sweet. It was drug dealers and all of that, the drug war going on, but I was a hip hopper, so I didn't really have to worry about that. It was just my demons that I had to face, which was the 40 ounces and, avoiding certain situations.
Right. Can you take us back to some of your earlier hip hop influences before Mikey D got into hip hop? Who were you listening to early on?
Man, let me tell you, the first person that I listened to is the legendary Grandmaster Caz from the Cold Crush Brothers. Man, I got to thank my brother D Money, Derek Parks, who lived right next door to me in Queens. His grandmother, you know, he brought the cassettes down to Queens, and he let me hear Grandmaster Caz and the Cold Crush. He let me hear Kumo D battling Busy B, you know. So those were my influences. And then there was a crew around my way. They went by the name of the Clientele Brothers, man. Eddie OJ, Will Seville, EZ, and Mr. Gene. They was just dope. So, you know, those are the guys that I used to emulate coming up, going through my little cruise of, that's who it was, man.
Right.
Grandmaster Caz, number one.
Early on, what was your first memory of seeing hip hop firsthand on the block? What can you remember back in the day before you got into MCing? What did you see on the block firsthand?
Well, when D Money bought that tape, you know, that was it. You know what I mean? I wasn't familiar with hip hop or anything, and so that was birth to my ears of hip hop. You know what I mean? I went home that night and wrote my first rhyme and everything. And then D Money's older brother, Mike Action, and my partner, Boo, his brother Oliver Taylor, they had DJ equipment in the basement. I didn't really know about it because I wasn't into that. I was still a kid running around, you know. And so they had turntables and all of that, and they went by the name of the Terrible Two. And when Boo, me, and D Money, which is Derek, got turned on to hip hop, we became the Crew. So it was Terrible Two and Crew. So they were the very first live, you know, on hand that I had with hip hop.
So take me back. How did Mikey D officially get into hip hop? A lot of MCs would say they got into it through graffiti, breakdancing, DJing. How did Mikey D get into hip hop?
I got into it from the rap perspective. You know what I mean? I was, like I said, when I first heard Grandmaster Caz and them, I went home that day to my grandmother's house and I wrote a rhyme and I emulated the rhyme that I heard from Grandmaster Caz. He spit a rhyme called Yvette. You know what I mean? So I wrote a rhyme called Kim. The very first person that I let hear that rap was my Nana. My Nana. Now, she had no clue of what hip hop was, you know, this beautiful white woman, man. And she really liked what I wrote. You know what I mean? So that's when I knew that was my validation right there, her liking what I did. And then I, you know, let D Money and them hear it. And they was like, yo, that's kind of dope. Even though it was the emulation of Yvette, it was pretty good to be my first rhyme. And that was it. It was off to the races. It was nothing but rap, rap, rap. I didn't do the break dancing. I couldn't DJ. I couldn't draw, but I could express my feelings on paper. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and I was also very competitive with it because remember, I heard Grandmaster Caz and Kumo D first. So it was a battle along with the, you know, the wit of Caz. So it was off to the races right after that.
Right. You speak of going right off to the races. What kind of dues did Mikey D have to pay to get his name known out there?
Did I have to pay? I didn't pay nobody. They had to pay me.
No, dues. Dues. You know what I'm saying? Like
Now,
dues. Yeah. Okay.
well, it started out, you know, I was with the Grandmaster 3, which was myself, my man Boo, and D Money, who introduced me to hip hop. We were the Grandmaster 3 along with DJ Johnny Quest. Then we also became the LA Rap Masters, which was like a Wu-Tang of Laurelton. There was like 15, 16 of us all gathered up in Johnny Quest's sun porch making cassette tapes and this, that, and the third. Then I was with a group called the Phenomenal Four with my man Mark Miller, Hans, and all of them. That was dope. But then the highlight of that time was, remember earlier when I mentioned the Clientele Brothers? Well, these brothers recognized the work that I was putting in. And they gave Johnny Quest and myself, we were like the youngest to do it. Johnny Quest was a dope DJ and I was the rapper. And we were the youngest at that time doing it. Eddie OJ and Will Seville gave us an opportunity to join the Clientele Brothers, man. And that was that, because we looked up to them. They were like the equivalent of the Treacherous Three, the equivalent of Cold Crush in our eyes in Queens. And for them to acknowledge us and put us down with that situation, that was it for me, man. And so in becoming Mikey D, which I was already Mikey D, but getting down with them and learning from Eddie OJ and Will Seville, I became a combination of Eddie OJ and Will Seville. The two of them brothers together is what you have before you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I always got to tell that story.
Can you take us back to the scenario? What used to happen in front of Poppin' Kim's back in the day?
About Poppin' Kim's, man. Research there, bro. So Poppin' Kim's was up on Merrick Boulevard, 229th Street. They had the coldest 40s in Queens, man. And they were dirt cheap, you know what I mean? It started out with the courts at $1.35, and then it went to the ice cold 40s, which were $1.50. But anyway, that was the local hangout as well, because back in the 80s, you really didn't need to worry about the police harassing you for drinking beer outside, this, that, and the third. So we had a lot of celebrities used to also frequent Poppin' Kim's. Run DMC were there always buying cases of 40s, Jam Master J and them. But me, I was from that neighborhood, and I was a very competitive young man. And with a little gasoline in my engine, I wasn't taking no prisoners. So a lot of battles went down, lyrical battles, not fights or drama, lyrical battles. And, that was the headquarters of Boom Bash, man. It was a wonderful thing. Poppin' Kim's forever, baby.
No doubt. Who exactly is Geechee Dan, and what was your relationship with him at the time?
Geechee Dan is my man. Geechee Dan is a brother from Hollis, Queens. My man Daniel Geechee. I used to listen to a radio station called WBAU. Chuck D and them was on there before they were Public Enemy. Dr. Dre, from Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, he had the operating room up there. Flavor Flav had a station. And my man, Wild Man Steve, had a radio station up there as well. Anyway, Geechee Dan, he used to go up there, and one day I caught him freestyling. I was like, money is kind of nice, and I think I reached out to Dr. Dre on the telephone, because they had to call in. It was a 516 area code. They had the call in number, and I got to speak to Geechee, and he was bugging out that it was me, giving him props and, wanting to meet him, this, that, and other. So, a couple of days later, he came to Laurelton, Queens, met me up at Poppin' Kim's, and we've been brothers ever since, man. And that was in the late 80s, man,
Right.
No, the mid 80s, actually.
Mid-80s.
Yeah, ever since.
At what point did you meet Jay Ski and rename him what you named him? We're going to let you get into that story.
Well, I didn't really name him. Like I said, it was a suggestion that worked really well. Jay Ski was a brother that my man Dave Molicio and his boy named Cal. Cal was Melle C, and Melle C was Jay Ski's partner. And, Dave Molicio was one of the brothers that used to come to Johnny Quest's house. Matter of fact, I'm snitching right now. Dave Molicio used to steal the cassette from Johnny Quest's house. Now, I put him on blast, and I know he's watching. But, Dave Molicio and Cal, they had an argument about who was the better rappers, this, that, and the other. So Cal, of course, he was talking about Jay, and Dave was talking about me. So, they brought it to both of our attentions, and we agreed to meet at a place called Roller Castle, which was in Elmont, New York, in Long Island. That was another hangout on the weekend, the roller skating rink. Black Spectrum used to host these events there. That was Flavor Flav in them. And we agreed to meet up there to battle, So when we finally met face to face, we didn't battle. We weren't, it wasn't no type of bad energy between us or none of that. It was a respectful thing, and we started comparing notes. Somebody just texted me, my bad. I got it on Do Not Disturb. But we started comparing notes, and the thing that bugged me out was the similarities in our cadence, our growl. You know, he was a tall, skinny dude. You know, I was like shoulder length, skinny dude. We were both young. He's only a couple of months younger than me, so we were the same age. You know, and it just bugged me out because there's two of us. I'm like, whoa. So after that, you know, we didn't battle. We rapped together. You know, and so Jay started coming around the way a lot. He used to come around the way a whole lot. You know, he used to walk from St. Albans, from the Rock, all the way to Laurelton. But then vice versa, I used to walk from Laurelton to see him. You know, we were just two dope dudes. So one day he came through and he was like, yo, Mike, I'm going to change my name, you know, blah, blah, blah. So he said, my new name is Cool J. I was like, yeah, that's dope. That's dope. You know, that's dope. So I think we might have been walking up to Pop and Kim's or whatever to grab some brew or whatever. And see, my name was Playboy Mikey D. And all of the brothers that I hung with, they always had these nicknames. We had Romantic Lover Snow, Lover Boy TC. My man D Money became Ever Loving Kid Ice. My man Boo, he became Lovable Little B. You know, I was Playboy Mikey D. And then Cool J was just Cool J. And that's when I was saying to myself, yo, that's dope, but you need a nickname, you know, something like Playboy, you know, whatever. So we was fumbling around with names, and I said Ladies Love. How about Ladies Love, Cool J? So he let that, you know, roll off of his tongue and went to sleep with it and all of that. And then he became Ladies Love, Cool J. And then he said when he went to Def Jam, Rick Rubin and them, they thought the name was a little too long, but, you know, he didn't want to get rid of that. So LL Cool J, Ladies Love. So like I said, it was a suggestion, man, that really worked.
Right. At this time, were you already in the Sensational Five? And at what point did you feel the need to ask him to join at one point?
Well, the Sensational Five was that thing was already going on. We were all cool. We didn't really have no routines, or we wasn't really doing that. We was all just fire. We had the names. It was a great idea, and Cool J definitely added that spark. But then after a while, me and Cool J just started hanging together because we was like two of a kind. You know what I mean? But even at, you know, in certain situations, man, we'd be walking and I see a cipher and I try to talk him into, yo, let's get him. And he would always sick me on him, you know. You know, they couldn't get through me to get to him. It was supposed to be the other way around, man, because I was the one active. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but you know, just because he was coming around the way and he was, you know, hanging around the crew and all of that, we thought it would be a dope idea for him to be a part of that too, you know?
Right. So did he eventually join? What eventually happened with that situation?
Well, see, Jay was like a visionary. Jay had big dreams, big aspirations of what he wanted to do. And it didn't quite match ours. I think because we more or less didn't look at the big picture like he really looked at the big picture. Where he is today is what he talked about being when we were young. You know what I mean? So Cool J was the type of person to take his last couple of dollars and jump on a bus and train and go try to make some type of connect, whether it be go learning from Silver Fox to, you know, trying to look on the backs of record covers, looking for the addresses to knock on doors. Jay was that type of guy. Me, you know, like I said, my last couple of dollars, popping Kim's. So they owe me. But Cool J eventually landed a deal with Def Jam Records. You know, he came back around the way. And this is something that I got to put into perspective because a lot of people think, you know, he just broke out, took a style and ran with it, which is not the truth. Because as I said, when we met, the similarities were already there. So he didn't steal my style. He already was nice. He also didn't leave me because he offered me a chance. He said that we could be the next Run DMC. I didn't go for it. I declined. I wasn't, you know, really looking at the big picture like he was. He believed it. He made it happen. Me, all I wanted to do was be the dopest rapper in the hood. And I exceeded that expectation of myself. You know what I'm saying? So there's no love lost. But I just wanted to clarify that because a lot of people
Absolutely.
get through.
Yeah, you said as you mentioned, he got signed by Def Jam, but you were also offered a deal at Def Jam. Is that correct?
Well, what it was is I kind of saw through that pretty early because while he was with Def Jam, I had written a single on Reality Records for the Symbolic 3, which was an answer record to my man and great friend, Dougie Fresh, you know, which was an idea of Jerry Bloodrock to do. So I was already dealing with a label situation. And then, you know, with the peer pressure and you know, people, LL taking off the way that he took off, there was a lot of hate back then. You know, it wasn't necessarily coming from me, but it became um, toxic. You know, everybody around you saying, you know, this guy stole your style and what are you gonna do and this, that, and other. And I'm constantly hearing this, yo, that should be you. And I'm like, nah, but that's not what I wanted. And oh, he's playing you. He took your style and ran and whatever. So then he came out with "I'm Bad," and there was a verse at in one of the bars where he said, "Forget Oreos, eat Cool J cookies." Now, mind you, see that's when stuff hit the fan in the streets because people thought he stole that verse from me because I was banging in the parks already. The park jams in the streets knew who I was. And I said a rhyme prior to this saying, I am imperial pro material. Kids all overeat Mikey D cereal. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
He said that. People thought he bit. But remember, me and LL were hanging together so tough. Of course, we're going to write rhymes to complement each other's rhymes. So if he says something with a lot of wit that I think is witty, I'm going to counter the wit with wit, but make it match up to his. That's what he did. But being that there was so much peer pressure and I was drinking at the time, I fell for the trap and I began to diss LL on records. And that's what started the rivalry. So as that was happening, you know, I got a phone call at home from Russell Simmons at my crib asking me if I could come down to the office. Hell yeah, I could come down to the office. I go down to the office, you know, we talk about it. I mean, I think I met Leo Cohen's and all of them, you know, but it just didn't feel realistic. You know what I'm saying? It felt funny. And I knew what was going on because at that time they were shelving rappers and then they would eventually put another rapper out. Like, let's say there was a hot rapper at the time, right? And that rapper started fizzling out a little bit, but then you got another rapper that sounds like the rapper that's fizzling out. Well, let's put the new guy out. That's what I think they wanted to do with me because L and me sounded so much alike. Now, and plus I was trying to get on his neck. Like I was the only real credible competition that L could have possibly had. The stuff that he had with Ice-T and them, that was other stuff. But me and L really knew each other. So there was a difference there. You know what I mean? So I think what they wanted to do was shelf me until his fire went out. Now, had I waited for that or went for that, I'd still be sitting right here because that boy flames never went out.
Right.
You know, so so that's how that went. So I just went on and began doing my own thing. I really wasn't with the records and all of that, but the opportunities kept coming. I'm not going to turn down an opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, that's how that went down.
Can you take us back to forming the LA Posse and meeting the legendary Posse and DJ Johnny Quest? How did that all take place?
Well, with Johnny Quest, me and him and I grew up together. You know, we lived 5 houses apart. You know, we were young cats, and we started the same day. You know what I mean? Doing our thing after D Money played that tape because Johnny Quest, Big Brother Buddy, had some turntables and all of that. So Johnny Quest started doing this thing. You know, so him and I were already the team. Johnny Quest and Mikey D. Now with Posse, that came from Eddie OJ and Will Seville of the Clientele Brothers. They met Paul through some mutual friends, you know, a couple of older guys, you know, because I was young, and they went and they recorded some demos in his house, Paul C's house. We heard the tapes and it was like dope, dope. And I remember one day Eddie OJ and Will Seville, you know, asked me to walk with them, asked me and Johnny Quest to walk with them to Rosedale. They were going to Paul's house. We didn't have a clue of what Paul looked like. We just heard his music. That's it. We never knew what he looked like or anything. So we walked, and I remember getting to his house. He lived on the corner of 147th and like 227th or 226th Street in Rosedale. And there was a garage in the back. And Eddie OJ and Will Seville, they used to make the tapes in his bedroom, but he moved his equipment from the bedroom to the garage. And when we was coming around the corner, we heard the music playing. And me and Quest was like, oh, shit sounding dope. So when we went back there and he came out, we was like, who's this? It was a white dude. Paul C was a white dude with that much soul and hip hop in him. We couldn't believe it. But anyway, Quest and me, you know, we did a little something there with the Clientele Brothers, and you know, Paul was impressed with us and wanted to cut a few demos on us. So, you know, we went over there, we cut a few demos, and that's how that became. We got the we were recognized by Dr. Shock. He used to DJ for the Force MCs as well after Dr. Rock, Dr. Shock, Michael Thomas. And Dr. Shock introduced us to Arthur Armstrong, who later on became our manager. So when we signed the management contract, he got us signed to a label called Public Records, which was an independent label. And we had to come with the name of a group. So at that time, you know, Boom Bash was so heavy in the streets. Everybody knew who Boom Bash was. And it wasn't a bad thing to know who Boom Bash was. You just knew that Boom Bash, if you had a problem, they had your back. You know what I mean? And it was like the Hollis Crew, for instance. Run DMC had the Hollis Crew. Mikey D had Boom Bash. And that was the name that we wanted to use. You know what I mean? We wanted to be Boom Bash. That was going to be our title. They you know, they didn't want to do it because they didn't feel comfortable with, you know, that, you know, because of street things and stuff like that. So they were a little nervous. They wanted, you know, us to be this clean cut professional group or whatever. So the next best thing for us to do, we said, how about LA Posse? Because Laurelton, anybody from Queens, especially Jamaica Queens, know if you're from Laurelton, that's LA. They say LA. You know what I mean? And Posse at the time was your crew. The people you hung with was your posse. So we were like, well, how about L.A. Posse? It was still Boom Bash, you know what I mean? But it was just a different name.
Right.
And they, you know, the label wanted the Mikey D at the front of it. That's how it became Mikey D and the L.A. Posse. But the original L.A. Posse is myself, DJ Johnny Quest, and Paul C. And the crew was Boom Bash.
You mentioned Public Records. At what point did Elite come? Was that before or after Public Records with your I Get Rough?
I Get Rough originally came out on Public. We did 2 singles with Public Records before we got signed to Sleeping Bag. We did My Telephone. Back on the B side was Bust Around Mike and Dawn. And Dawn was the godfather of noise, human beatbox. Rozelle, that was his introduction as a human beatbox, you know. And then we backed that up with I Get Rough in 1987, which was backed with Go For It. But then Public Records went under, and Arthur Armstrong, he's the one that started up Elite Records. So he re-released that record because he had all of the rights to it. He re-released that record on Elite Records. So that's how that became.
Gotcha. What kind of buzz did those singles generate? I Get Rough and the rest of those. What kind of buzz was Mikey D hearing in the streets from those?
We was banging on them, man. We was definitely banging on them, especially those late night shows like Hank Love and them and you know, the late night joints. Mr. Magic was even banging our stuff. Red Alert was banging our stuff. So we had the underground hits. We didn't really have commercial hits. We had the underground hits. And it was like the first one, My Telephone, that was back with Busta Rhyme Mike. Busta Rhyme Mike took off. That one took off. Actually, Busta Rhyme Mike gave birth to Mikey Destruction because I said all MCs are headed for corruption. From now on, call me Mikey Destruction at the end of that. So that birthed Mikey Destruction. And then the follow-up single was I Get Rough. Now, that one took off for the simple fact that it was controversial because that's the song that I dissed LL. I'm bad. You know, I did forget the cookies, eat Mikey D cereal. You know? So that one did pretty well as well, man. So, excuse me. Yeah, so that's how that went down, man.
So at this time, is there a bidding war, and how did you guys land with the one of the biggest independent labels at Sleeping Bag?
Sleeping Bag Records deal is a real funny story. My man, Mantronics, he was looking for, you know, a rapper at the time. I don't know what was going on with him and Tricky T at the time. But you know, he was ready to release more music, and you know, somehow my name got to him, and he heard some of the cassettes and me in the street, the park jams, this, that, and the other. And we went down there for a meeting. You know, we met with Mantronics, and he was like, "Yo, I want you to be down." Boom, 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 boom. I didn't think it would be although he was successful at the time, it was a great opportunity. My loyalty wouldn't allow it. So I'm like, man, we already got Posse, you know, so we might as well do something, you know, something fresh, you know. And Johnny Quest, I can't leave them to join somebody else. And Virgil Sims was the A&R at the time, and he took a listen to our music and was like, yo, this is kind of dope. So they signed us for a single deal. We did Out of Control and Coming in the House, which banged. Now, at that same year was 1988. Mantronics heard me because I was battling in the parks, and I was a terrorist, lyrically battling everybody. At that time, they used to have this big battle called New Music Seminar, Battle for World Supremacy. You know what I mean? So Will Sopolox and Ron Resnick and all of them from Fresh and Sleeping Bag Records was like, okay, this guy's some type of battle rapper. Let's test his skills. You know what? They entered me in the New Music Seminar, 1988. And brother, I did not rehearse. I was excited about it. And what's so crazy about it, 1987, I made the song I Get Rough, right? 1987, the year before. And the last verse I said, I don't wear a lot of gold and I don't drive a car. My muscles ain't large, but my pockets are. People see me on the street and treat me just like a star. I don't even have to practice for the seminar. Said that at the end of my verse the year before. They put me into the seminar, and guess what? I won the New Music Seminar 1988, man. And Sleeping Bag Records knew they had something on their hands at the time.
We'll come back to the Sleeping Bag situation. Take us back to the New Music Seminar. For those of us who don't know what particularly goes on, can you detail how you ended up battling Melle Mel? Was that the last? Did you have to go through a slew of rappers to get to that point? So can you detail who you had to go through to get to that point?
Well, first you go through a preliminary challenge. The seminar is a 3-day event, 2 days for the rap competition. So the first day of the rap competition, you have to go through the preliminary rounds. Those who lost the preliminary rounds were automatically out. So my first round, I had to go against my man another Queens brother, Mr. X. They had the record, you know, I drink Old Gold, you know, and that was one of my favorite joints because that's what I drank, you know. But yeah, so me and him did what we had to do. I wound up winning that, and then the following day is when I had to go against, you know, the rest of the guys, man. So, you know, we partied all night at the preliminary and everything. We had maybe 20 brothers with us at the preliminary and partying all night and going to all of the events and performing, and 20 people, man. And then the next day, it was crickets when it was time to go back. Me and Johnny Quest was the only two. We had to leave 10 o'clock in the morning to get to the Marriott Marquise in Manhattan, man. You know, we partied out, a little hungover and everything, but the adrenaline, man, that kept us up. So we got there, and man, listen, Search was in that competition. My man, I had to battle King's son, my boy. I had to battle a brother named Bango from I think he was from Cleveland. Ill. Man, there was a slew of other rappers that I had to go through, because what it is in the seminar you got 2 rounds apiece, you know, and you know they had judges, Jazzy Joyce and them was there, and it was incredible, man. But you had 2 rounds each battle, and I must have battled about 10 different rappers, you know, and then until everybody is eliminated, and then it's down to the final 2. So the final 2 was me and that brother Bango. You know, he was dope, and you know, I edged him. You know, I had the edge, so I won. Now with Melle Mel, that was supposed to be a demonstration. This year's champion rapping with last year's champion, a celebration. You know, everybody got their belts, this, that, and the third. But the thing is, I don't think Melle Mel wanted to accept that. I think they wanted to keep the belt in their circle, because Busy B won 1 year, then Grandmaster Caz won, and then Melle Mel won, and I guess Melle Mel wanted to win again so he could keep the belt in their crew. So he turned it into a battle. He was like, F, just rapping with this chump. He ain't no champion. You know, a real champion, a battle for his belt. Winner takes all. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing that. But first of all, this is Melle Mel. No. Not that I was scared of him physically or lyrically. It's because I had that much respect for the legend. Like, nah, I'm not going to do this. You know what I mean? Then Grandmaster Caz, my idol, was with this brother. You know what I mean? And, you know, they walking on stage like they WWF wrestlers against little me. Now, see, this is the thing. I had 3 things going against me. 1, I was from Queens. So you had that Bronx Queens thing going on there. 2, I was a pretty boy. I was a little pretty boy talking the most trash. And 3, I was the champion this year. You know what I mean? They didn't want that. Nah, man, this ain't gonna happen. Because now this is gonna change. No, it wasn't that I was, number 3 wasn't that I was the champion. Number 3 was I was new school. That's what it was. Legends against this new jack. You know what I mean? Okay. Melle Mel pranced around that stage, hyping it up, hyping everybody up. And the crowd was like, yo, go for it, Mike, go for it. I'm like, nah. Yo, he threw his belt on the ground. Like, I'm still saying, nah, I'm not going to do this in the crowd. Once the crowd starts chanting your name and they're talking about, go, Mikey, that gave me that energy to say, F, the respect, all of that's out the window. This is a battle. F it. I threw my belt on top of his and was like, let's do it. Now, Grandmaster Caz and you know, their crew, they don't think I won the battle because I attacked him personally. You know, they I guess they wanted to compare rhymes against rhymes. But you don't do that when you're in a shootout. You don't ask the person, let me see which gun you got so I can go back and get a gun to match your gun. When you're at war, you go for the kill. And that's what I did. It was a respectful kill, but you put my back against the wall. I have no other choice but to come out fighting. You tried to humiliate me in my time of victory, and I can't allow that from anyone. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, although I'm a new jack, I'm still a man. So, yeah, I had to unleash the destruction. And my man Melle Mel was a cock diesel brother, you know, and he was doing push-ups and all of that on stage. So, okay, do the push-ups. I started dissing him at the rhythm of his push-ups, you know. So that got the crowd. That was my thing, to get the crowd on my side and humiliate him. And that's what I did. The crowd decided that I was the winner, but Grandmaster Caz had already picked up both of the belts and began walking off stage as I was doing my thing. So I guess he must have assumed that Melle Mel was going to destroy me, which didn't happen. I had a surprise. Then, you know, when it was time to give the belts up, Melle Mel grabbed both of the belts and he stormed out of the place. And like I said, I'm glad that my crew could not wake up that next morning and come with us, because that would not have happened if Boom Bash would have been in the building. And I'm so happy that they did not come that particular day. It was only me and Quest, you know what I mean? And I didn't think anybody, like even people in the audience wanted to move on him. Daddy-O from Stetson Sonic, him and the Brooklyn's, the goons, was ready to move. And I pleaded with like Daddy-O, I'm like, nah, we don't have to do that, because it won't look good on my future if anything happens to that man. You see what I'm saying? So what happened is Tom Silverman, the person that organizes the new music seminar, wound up making me a brand new belt. So at the end of the day, I still got my belt and I still got my respect for Melle Mel. It is what it is.
Years later, did he ended up returning the original belt, or in what the conversation? Do you guys just avoid all that altogether?
I avoid it at all costs, you know, because I don't want to be one of those older rappers. Or I won't say older. I don't want to be one of those mature rappers to always talk about what I did. Nah, it's under the water, man. Let's talk about what I'm doing. You feel me?
Right.
So with Melle Mel, I don't have no bad feelings against that brother. I love Melle Mel. I love everything that he did for the culture. You know, that was just, you know, a scene that will always go down in the history of hip hop. And I'm a part of that. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. It's all love on this side.
Absolutely. Take it back to Sleeping Bag Records. What did this mean for your career and the deal at Sleeping Bag at this point?
Sleeping Bag was a great opportunity to become a lot bigger. As I said before, I already exceeded my expectations of what I wanted out of this hip hop thing. You know, not only was I the dopest MC in my hood, I'm becoming one of the dopest MCs in the industry, because that belt, that validated everything. Like, yo, this is the battle for world supremacy. Like, woo. And I got the belt, and I'm hanging the belt up and popping Kim's. And I'm on Sleeping Bag Records, one of the number one. Well, it was actually, I would say, the second best independent label outside of Def Jam, because Def Jam was popping. But see, then Def Jam, they got under the umbrella of Columbia. So that took them to a whole nother level, to whereas Sleeping Bag was still independent. But it definitely catapulted us into another stratosphere, man. It was a great decision, man. It was a great move.
So did a whole album ever materialize on Sleeping Bag? What eventually happened with the deal over
Man,
there?
tragedy. See, this is why I need to write a book, man. Tragedy happened. 1989. We're about to complete the album. Everything is done. Everything is approved. You know what I mean? Fire album. Whole album produced by Posse. Come on. See, a lot of people know Posse for his production and his engineering capability, because he produced a couple of joints for other people. But see, the difference between us and them, Posse was a part of our family and he was a part of our group. So we spent nights together, and we were family for real. You know what I mean? And the album was done. Everything was ready to rock and roll. And Posse was taken from us tragically in his sleep. Dude never had a bad bone in his body. Never had a problem with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would be the last person that you would expect to die such a horrific death. You feel me? That took the energy out of everything, man. I lost respect for a lot of people. I lost respect for hip hop, and things started going downhill. Prior to that, prior to Posse, see, this is the line of events that took place. So we're the LA Posse, right? We're with Sleeping Bag Records, you know, one of the top independent labels, LA Posse. Now, mind you, Bigger and Deffer comes out. You know, LL and me, you know, people still say we're feuding, you know, whatever. So he comes out with this Bigger Deffer album, and when you look at the credits, it was produced by the LA Posse. Now we like, huh? But it's not us. It's the other LA Posse. Daryl and Dwayne from California. We never heard of these dudes ever. Come on, we was rocking with that name since we got with Armstrong, before Public Records. Well, when we got with Public Records, you know, we talking 85, 86. Come on. Now, they want to sue us. They rocking with Def Jam. You know what I mean? Want to sue us for the name. Sleeping Bag Records didn't want to support our case. I know why, because Sleeping Bag Records didn't have money like Columbia had. So they couldn't hire them lawyers. And they were scared to lose the case. You know, but look, my integrity over everything, man. Like, I'm not giving my name to nobody. Court can't come and take it. Police can't come and take it. We built this. You know what I mean? So, you know, that left a sour taste in my mouth with Sleeping Bag, and then Posse died around that same time. It just messed my whole vibe up with this record making business and all of that. So I wanted out. I wanted out of Sleeping Bag. I didn't want nothing to do with them, you know. And then that was that. You know, Posse was the nail in the coffin. And then, you know, the 90s were coming, you know, the NWAs and the gangster stuff. And I'm not one, I can't rap about what I'm not about. You feel me? So right. I couldn't really get with that wave, man. And that was that, man. I just left it alone for a couple of years. And, you know, I went down to Miami, you know, to clear my head, effed around and got a record deal out there with my boy Terry. You know, we made a record out there, Put Your Body in Motion, called No, and we were No Strings Attached. I tried to change my identity and everything. We were in Miami. You know, Miami, they can't stand that boom bap. You know what I mean? So I went out there, tried to get on a little bass music, changed my name to Cordless Mike. And my man, Terry, that's my boy. He was down with Sensational Fire. He was Loverboy TC. He changed his name to CeeLo. You know what I'm saying? So we went down there under a new identity and everything. I had it popping too. But anyway, after that, man, I came on back to New York, man, and you know what happened next.
Let's get into it. So what kind of gap was that before you reached out and you went to an audition for Main Source, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so they contacted you, I believe, and you had to audition. Can you take us back to coming back from Miami to New York and that time frame to where you got back in and linked up with Main Source?
So from Miami back to New York, you know, I chilled out. I got back to New York in 91. Actually, I got ran out of Miami, not by the gangsters, but the gangster weather. Hurricane Andrew chased us the F right up out of there. And Mikey D ain't been back since. Yo, so when I got back, I was hanging out with my boy Michael Beasley, man. Mike Beasley, he was gangster in the streets of Springfield Gardens, Queens, man. He drove the fly white Lincoln with the blue rag top, you know what I mean? Him and my man Nugget. So, I was the little rapper. I used to always be the little dude rhyming with around these guys. Instead of them playing the radio, they play a beat and I'm rapping. They got their personal stereo with them, you know what I mean? And so Mike Beasley, he has family, and they had an office up in Manhattan called Hush Productions. Actually, Mike's cousin Bo was married to Melba Moore. And Michael Michelle, she used to be at the studio, and a lot of celebrities used to be at the studio. I used to see Positive K up there and stuff like that. And they had this grand piano downstairs. And one day we were down there and somebody was tapping on the piano and I was just rocking. I was rhyming like I was in my zone. And Jeff Red, the R&B singer, Jeff Red, happened to hear me getting busy. And he was like, yo. And he told me that he knew of a group that needed a lead rapper. He's not going to tell me who they are. I'm not going to let you know who they are. I'm just going to give you this number, this address. Make sure you go check them out tomorrow. He told my man Mike Beasley, yo, make sure you take them there. Next day, we go to Flushing, Queens. We go to the address was to this lady called Tandy Weems. Tandy Weems answers the door, and Scratch, he comes to the door. I knew he looked familiar. He looked very familiar. I couldn't quite place it at the time. So him and Tandy, they invited us in. They asked me to bust a rhyme or whatever. So I spit some bars or whatever. Boom, boom, boom. And he got on the phone and he called his brother. He said, I'm going to call my brother. I'm going to see, what my brother says. And it was K Cut. And I was like, all right, because the name started making sense. Sir Scratch, K Cut. All right, these main source dudes. All right. Oh, boom. Now I'm really getting busy. Boom. I didn't know what happened between Large Professor and them or anything like that. I just was excited that because these dudes is popping. I'm like, oh, yo, this is another opportunity. So that's how that happened. K Cut and Sir Scratch, they liked it, and I liked their vibe, this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, they shipped me and Mike Beasley out to Canada, to Toronto, to begin production on a new Main Source album. That was pretty dope. So, yeah, that was the introduction to Main Source.
Can you take us back to what those sessions were like to making that Wild Pitch album?
Well, there were actually two albums. The first album we recorded, well, actually, it was a half an album we recorded in Toronto. It didn't have that Mikey D energy in it. I didn't have my growl because K Cut was the younger brother. He was definitely a party animal, and me and him were closer to the same age. Well, not the same age. I think I'm older than both of them, but we were closer to each other. Sir Scratch was more of the businessman, strictly business, man. Everything was business about him, and he's the exact same person as his mother, Miss McKenzie, Sandra McKenzie, which was their manager and mother. Very professional woman, and she wants things done the right way. And so Scratch was the same. So when I was down there writing and stuff like that, listening to these beats, man, I'd be sitting at the dining room table writing rhymes, and Scratch would be over, standing over me there, yo, you writing? Like, yo, damn, man, I can't move. It's me. I have to write what I'm feeling. I got to be in the surroundings. It got to be a certain type of vibe for me to catch that wave of writing. And it was too laid back. They wouldn't allow me to drink my beers. They wouldn't allow me to go hang out and find where shit, stuff was popping. And, I was not hostage. It was too, I wasn't used to doing business like that. You know what I mean? But see, the reason they were putting a rush on it and they were so strict was because they were pressed for time as well. They had a deadline to meet because the second album. So I came in under a lot of pressure. Number one, Large Professor's not there to help with the production, and he's not going to be rapping. I'm going to be doing the rapping. I'm not Large Professor, nor do I want anybody to think that I'm Large Professor. I'm not here to take Large Professor's position. I'm simply here to add the Mikey D touch to main source. There's no way I could take Large Professor's position because we are two different caliber rappers. There's no way I could ever say I'm taking his position because it would be lies. But we you know, like I said, you know, the energy out there just wasn't there, and it showed in the music. Like it was too laid back, it was too pretty, it was too happy, and that, come on, man. You know, it wouldn't be Mikey Destruction, it'd be Mikey Daisies. You know, it was too nice. So, like I said, the label, they heard it and they understood. And, you know, K-Cut made the suggestion of going back home and trying it there because they also had a nice apartment in Brooklyn, you know, and I had my people in Queens. So, my man, they got us back to New York, lights out, man. I had my 40s back, my crew back. We had the studio lit, you know what I mean? We was in Platinum Island or whatever studio that was. And I remember when it was it K-Cut or Scratch? One of them took me to listen to the same way I auditioned for them. They had Chic and Jadakiss audition in front of me. You know what I mean? Two young gunners. I never heard of them. The Warlocks. Jadakiss just came home from some type of group home or something. Nice. I was like, yeah. So me, Jadakiss, and Chic, we in that basement. I think we was with the Bomb Squad or something like that. And we just going, you know, cipher, rhymes, you know, boom, boom, boom. I was like, yeah. You know, after we left, they was like, you want to put them on the album? Hell yeah, we need them. They dope. They dope. New energy, this, that, and the other. We also put Sha Queen, which is Ma Barker. People know her as, you know, Trina Bruley on Instagram. And she, you know, she used to deal with my man Kool G Rap, you know what I mean? And she was like the female Kool G Rap. And like she's from Queens, she's younger. And I always promised her mother, my man Philly O introduced me to her. And I always promised her and her mother that if I ever made it or if I got into a position, I was bringing her with me. And sure enough, I came back and I got her. And I brought her to Canada with us. My man Geechee Dan even came down to Canada and visited me when I was out there. But so we did the album, F What You Think. And man, listen, we had some fire on that. But then here comes more drama. For some reason, there was some type of animosity going on between the label and management. And I just remember one day we were at a press conference. Man, we had Word Up magazine, The Source, Fresh, all of them at a table. You know, we couldn't do it like we're doing it now. We had to sit at the table while it being interviewed and all of that. And next thing you know, all hell broke loose, man. Miss McKenzie, where the is Stu Fine and all hell breaking loose. I'm talking about tables flipping. Nas was there. Search was there because I know Nas. Man, Search was managing Nas at the time, and I remember Nas sitting at the door waiting to be seen or whatever. And I think my cousin Mark was with us too, and Mark might have told Nas, "Yo, you might want to break out, shorty," or something when Miss McKenzie and them came. And sure enough, all hell broke loose. So we got a release from Wild Pitch. Well, I was never on Wild Pitch. I was with a production deal with Main Source, and you know, everything went downhill from there. I mean, the only thing that they released off of that album on time was the single, What You Need Is the Source. And that gained a lot of momentum, man. You know, it got us, we hosted BET's Rap City. We were on Soul Train. You know, we had a nice video behind it.
Can you speak on the Soul Train situation?
Soul Train was dope, man. You know, we went down there. And we went down there right after one of the bad earthquakes. So we took a lot of water. We took a lot of canned foods. We had to, you know, we did all of that. And MC Search was our road manager for the situation. And, you know, so he set up all of the radio interviews while we were down there. And he was also promoting Nas at the time, Searchlight Management, which was cool. So we get to Soul Train. I met Don Cornelius. This is when he was started going through his things. You know what I mean? So each week, Soul Train had a different celebrity host. This is prior to Shamar. What's his name?
More.
Shamar Moore. Thank you, baby. My wife always got my back. But anyway, Shamar Moore, before he took it over permanently, we had John Witherspoon as our host, and R.I.P. John. He was a great guy, and yeah, it was dope, man. Don Cornelius signed an autograph for my mom's, man. It was dope. Search almost got us kicked out of there though. Search, I'm dropping the dime on you because you was walking around in the audience sticking the What You Need stickers on them Soul Train dancers, and Don Cornelius was like, hey, we don't get paid to advertise you this much now. You're doing the performance and all of that. But yeah, it was all love, man. That was a great experience, man.
So after the main source's mom flipped out and the album got shelved, where did Mikey D find himself with main source?
Everything just withered away, man. It just withered away. I was mad at the time. I didn't understand business then. I was still young. I was still, what people today would call ghetto. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to conduct business. I'd rather party and stay a hood legend, man. I didn't care about all of that stuff. So I just went back to doing what I did, man. And I was running the streets, battling whoever got in my way and just being me. Getting older, I raised my daughter, and stuff like that. But I also did what I wanted to do. That was that.
Right.
I stayed on the independent route, I put together a little crew called Ambush with my brother MC Lotto, Kurt Digger, Sean Don, and me, Ambush. I thought that would be kind of dope. And I reconnected with Arthur Armstrong, and they put a couple of joints out on Ambush. But, things was kind of slow, and I just stayed local, hooking up with like my man Sean Design and Professor KB. I always worked with him, and my man Tough Tom and stuff like that, making cassette tapes for the streets and this, that, and the other. And then, MP3s started coming out, the world started changing, and you fall in and out of love with it, like a bad relationship. You know what I mean? Hip hop goes through so many changes. If it's not the music, it's the audience, and it's this, that, and the other. So, eventually, I just said, F it, man.
Can you speak on Team Fearless? What was that project about?
Oh, Team Fearless. What happened is myself and my man Mike Miller, DJ Mercury, we put together something called Elements of Hip Hop, him and I, because we felt that, hip hop was missing the element of the DJ, man. We needed the DJ back, man. Only the rappers were being glorified. We needed the DJ back. So we put elements of hip hop together. And we were moving, man. We were moving as a unit, man. Like, we had people behind us. They believed in us. And it was popping. We had a nice logo, Elements of Hip Hop. We had shirts made, and everybody was wearing hoodies, and the movement was moving. Then Team Fearless, Tito, Devastating Tito. I forgot exactly how we connected, but Tito's vision of Team Fearless was the same vision that I had with Elements of Hip Hop. And we clicked, we connected like, yo. And I was a fan of the Devastating Tito. So I started running with Tito, and I started not ignoring, but, neglecting Elements of Hip Hop and what I was doing on this side to accommodate what was going on over here with Team Fearless. It was a wonderful thing at one point because the focus and the vision was there and the grind, everybody was on the same page, and it was all love, man. But then things started to deteriorate, man. The better things got, the more it became infiltrated with negative energy and just, it was people with the wrong vibe in other people's ears. And I started noticing that. You know what I'm saying? And when I started noticing that, I said, you know what? I'm just going to distance myself. There's no love lost with Tito because Tito is busy grinding. He can't see what's going on underneath him, but I could see it. You see what I'm saying? But if I say something, I'm going to be considered the hater. So let me just distance myself and go back to what I originally started. I had already started an album called Day of Destruction before I was even rocking with Team Fearless. So I started doing my album again, man. But Team Fearless was a great thing. My man Legacy, if it wasn't for Team Fearless, I wouldn't have met Legacy. A great artist from the Bronx, man. His brother Felon, man. Great people. Adrian 18. It was dope, man. But the elements just started being not what it was supposed to be. So I went back to doing my thing. And then the energy turned on me. Like I was the one that left them to do my own thing. No, my man. I left my own thing to help this out, you know? And, you know, me and Tito, we had conversations, and it was always good conversations. And then he just disappeared. He left everybody alone. Not just me, but the people that really had his back. And the people that was snaking, that thought they were a part of Tito. He left everybody alone. He didn't pick and choose. He left everybody alone. So Team Fearless got withered away. You know what I mean? But, you know, Fearless 4 is still being, that name is still being carried by the great Peso and Mike C and DLB. Them dudes still carrying that torch, bro. You know what I mean? Much love to my big brothers, but that's how that went, man.
Right. For those long-term Mikey D fans, can you catch us up on what you've been up to the recent years and what you currently have working going on right now?
Well, right now, man, I was blessed to get into a situation to whereas I'm able to distribute music, you know, major platforms, a major distribution company. You know, we started myself, my man Calcutta, you know, my man Prit Kelsey out in London. We started something called Pass the Torch. So Pass the Torch is basically something that was created because I feel that everybody deserves a shot. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, what you look like, you know, all the gimmicks and this, that, and the other. If you believe in yourself, then you deserve a shot. And it's time to pass the torch, man. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody is so caught up, especially hip hop, so caught up in what you look like and, you know, how old you are. How dare you tell me that at 53 I need to stop? Y'all ain't tell nobody else that, no other, you know, genre. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna stop until I'm ready to stop because I'm a grown ass man. You can't tell me what. So, so, so pass distribution. My man Rob Schwartz, Cool Mac Multi, put up. We now have Pass the Torch distribution, which is dope. I dropped a guinea pig project on there. It's an EP called Talking That Shh. So you could check that out on all major streaming platforms, man. And right now, I'm working on something big, man. This is gonna be dope. We just finished the single, myself and my man Lush One from King of the Dot. Lush One from Cali. Come on. He's affiliated with King of the Dot, which is one of the biggest battle leagues out there. I'm a battle dude from my era. So him and I on the same record together only shows your boy ain't lose a touch. And Lush is nasty. So it opens up new doors for him and for me. So we just finished a single called Pass the Torch. Him and I. It was produced by Posse G from the UMCs, aka
Phantom.
the Beat. Fire. When I say fire, I am so excited for y'all. I can't wait for y'all to hear this. It is going to be incredible. And we getting ready to work on an EP, Lush and myself, and that's going to be something crazy. And I just got off the phone earlier before you with somebody, my man called Z-Man Productions out here in Newburgh, and he pitched an idea for a television show. So I'll keep you posted, man. If anything pops with that, I'll keep
Absolutely.
that, man. But yeah, so that's where we at, man. Look out for Pass the Torch, and Mikey D ain't going nowhere, baby. I'm here to stay.
No doubt. Before we get out of here, what does Mikey D consider his greatest accomplishments over the years?
If her hair was done, I would show you, but her hair ain't done. I think Wanda, she has to be my greatest accomplishment, man, because she made me realize that I don't have to drink to be fresh. You know what I mean? I stopped drinking because I wanted to keep this woman. And when I stopped drinking, the curtains was pulled from off of my eyes, and I see clearly now. I'm 30 times better lyrically, and it's crazy. And my greatest accomplishment was to be able to still sit here and be able to chop it up with you today, bro, and to be able to still have a future, my brother. You know what I mean? That's the great accomplishment, bro.
Hey, I appreciate everything you've done for the culture. Been a fan since day one. Before we get out of here, do you have any messages for your fans before we get off here tonight?
Absolutely, man. I want all of y'all, man, just stay true to yourselves, man. Believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, invest in yourself. 'Cause nobody's going to push you harder than you going to push you. You feel me? Don't let nobody tell you you can't do it, because you can do anything you put your mind to. If you're going to come into this business, be a businessman. Don't just, you know, don't just get into it for the show business. Show that you know the business. Show business in show business, man, and you can't go wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And be happy, man. Be happy, man, because I'm a happy mother effer. Money don't make you happy. Happiness does, brother, and I'm happy. And I don't rap because I have to rap. I rap because I love it, man. I love it. So it's my therapy, man. Salute to you, brother, man. Big fan of yours, too.
I appreciate you. Before we get out of here, man, can you drop off your social media so we can keep up with Mikey D everywhere?
Oh, absolutely, man. Check me out on Instagram at @the_real_Mikey D. You can check me out on Facebook at Michael Deering, my real name. Don't laugh. MichaelDeering. I'm on TikTok too with my corny behind. @real_Mikey D, on Twitter at @the_real_Mikey D. You know, I finally changed my name again. I'm Mikey D, the original, man, because I'm the original Mikey D. There's a lot out there, man, but none of them are the original, man. That's me.
Absolutely.
You fam, I love you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Stay safe out here. Anything you need, I'm here. Anytime you want to come back, you got anything new, any music, let's chop it up again. Thank you so much, Mikey D.
All right, you got it, brother. Peace and blessings.
Peace. Wow, what a great interview. That was episode 115. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on this Sunday night. Hopefully that made your whole weekend complete. Let's keep up throughout the week. Thanks everybody, especially you, Easy L. Rockwell, for being my ghostwriter for tonight and giving me some great insight to this interview. You helped me dig into places I had no clue. Thank you, everybody, again for joining me. This has been episode 115. I'm the Journalist Sin-Seer, and I'll see you again soon. Have a good week.